The government's crackdown on unruly social housing tenants is yielding results. The latest figures show in July alone, 4 tenancies were terminated by Kāinga Ora. It also issued 89 warnings that month. That's more than the entirety of 2022. But as Zane Small reports, there are fears it'll create a homelessness crisis.
For 2 years, Hannah Check lived on this Lower Hutt Street in a Kāinga Ora property. She shared a driveway with other social housing tenants, who she says kept her on edge.
Where to even start?
Hannah woke one morning to find the petrol in her car had been siphoned through a cut-off hose. She immediately suspected the people living around her.
Violent altercations between my neighbours, them knocking on my door to call the police.
Roaming dogs made courier deliveries a challenge, and to top it all off, Hannah's home was broken into while she wasn't there. The door was smashed in. Kāinga Ora described it all to us as unacceptable and said the problems were being caused by people breaking into and squatting in the property while Hannah was absent. But it said frontline teams have been using the Residential Tenancies Act earlier and more frequently to deter disruptive behaviour and drive behaviour change.
I think it should have been dealt with a lot sooner.
The government directed Kāinga Ora in March to get tougher on bad tenants as more and more stories emerged of disruptive behaviour. The latest figures show 89 warnings were issued in July. That's more than the entirety of 2022. The figures show 4 Kāinga Ora tenancies were terminated in July. In the 3 months prior, 14 were ended. That's 18 terminations across 4 months. The Public Housing Agency told us the approach is about being fair but firm. But there are concerns it could lead to a homelessness crisis because Kāinga Ora does not keep track of where former tenants end up living.
People are supported to try and recalibrate their behaviour and of course introduce others who might not be in the Kāinga Ora space, other providers that might be able to help them with housing.
For housing advocate Vanessa Cole, might is not good enough.
People will end up in really unstable situations, whether it's in boarding houses or in their cars or in overcrowded situations or moving from couch to couch.
But for Hannah, this was too much. And she says she feels safer now in a private rental after turning away from Kāinga Ora.
Well, kia ora, Zane. What more do we know about the waiting list for social housing?
Well, Kāinga Ora told me they've been working closely with the Ministry of Social Development to support the government's new priority placements scheme, which is where families in emergency housing are prioritised into homes faster. And Kāinga Ora told me they've been making great progress on this. Vanessa Cole, the social housing advocate you heard from in my story, said that just pushes others down the queue and doesn't really solve the problem. But there are some promising signs in this area. For example, the number of people on the social housing waitlist has come down from 25,000 in March to just under 23,000 in June. Of course, that is still tens of thousands of people waiting for a home, but the government would argue that it is families who deserve the most.
Tēnā koe, Zane. Thank you so much.